Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffe Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee and a cat. If you are on video, you will have seen the cat just jumped. There we go. Killian is, I'll tell you about it. First of all, today is, say it with me, people, it is Friday. Woohoo! January 10th. And don't knock that over. He's here off to the side of the screen, drinking from my water glass, which is like the universal thing that cats do, right? I've been mentioning that we are building the casita, and for my mom to come stay in and eventually live in, and work is proceeding apace. We have a beautiful, lovely snow this morning, but they still managed to pour the foundation yesterday, the footers. So yeah, they've just been working away like crazy. But what this means is this disrupts Killian's early morning hunting efforts. He has his ambush spot by the bird bath. I try to have it set up so he can't actually reach the birds. and yeah, but with the guys out there working away, and it is all guys. I mean, my contractor is a woman, a girl boss, and she's amazing. But so far, all the workers are guys. But Killian doesn't like them being out there, and frankly, the cat in me doesn't like it either. It's kind of been a disruptive week. Don't knock that over. Don't do that. He likes to play with it with his paw, and has turned over the water glass onto my key. No, I'm going to move it. If you're going to screw around with it, it gets moved. Sorry. Uh, what were we saying? Actually, doing a podcast here and not talking to the cat. He messes with it with his paw and pulls it over and killed one keyboard already. So uh, it's a good thing he's cute. So focus. Oh, yeah, it's been a disruptive week. On Tuesday, they came and did the compacting of the dirt in the foundation. And this compactor, people, I don't know if any of you have ever had this like done next to your house, but it made the whole house rattle. Everything was rattling. A few things fell, and I could actually feel the pressure of it against my eardrums. And I ended up feeling kind of vaguely ill from it too. Fortunately, it did not last terribly long. If it was that level of disruption for any length of time, I would have to go work somewhere else. Which, if you know me, that's like a dramatic thing to say. I was seriously considering going and working in my friend Megan's casita, but Wednesday ended up being not so disruptive, and then it turned out they have like questions for me. I imagine they would call me if I wasn't here, but sometimes they want me to come out and look at something. And it's good because, that way we're making sure it's what I want and all of these things. But disruptive. So I have not had an amazing week on Strange Familiar. It hasn't been terrible either. I am at 6,300 words for the week, a little past 17,000 overall. I'm only averaging 1590 words a day this week, whereas last week it was 2149. Of course, last week was only a half week, so that's a little bit of a dubious metric. So I'm still on track to finish. That's the good news. The bad news is my window is narrowing, getting tighter. But we'll just see. It is what it is, right? Um, so these are the earrings I forgot to bring out on Monday for Laura Darnell, who asked. But aren't these cute little glass hummingbirds? I think they're adorable. These are the ones I purloined from my mother's jewelry box. I like purloined because it gives the exact sense of having taken them, but without the deviousness, at least to my mind. I have a friend who has been starting to read my books, and he mentioned that uh, there were words that he had to stop and look up. And he is kind of a science fiction fantasy nerd. So he said next time he hit one, he'd let me know what it was. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I try not to do it. Well, actually, that's not true. I don't try not to. I don't try to. I don't try to use big words, but they do come out. Uh, Big words, $5 words, whatever they are. So, news of the world, my heart goes out to my numerous friends in Los Angeles. Those horrific fires and winds. Yeah, it's just devastating losses out there, and I feel for you all. People having to evacuate, and especially with the incoming administration, people thinking that like everyone who lives there is a millionaire. Uh, we're just in such an unkind era, at least as far as like national news media is concerned, and certain trends on social media. And so I think we have to remember that the kind voices, the sympathy, the sharing, the helping, it's all still here. It's just, I think we have to be loud about it. So, let's be loud. Do what we can to help the folks in Los Angeles. And, there but for the grace of God, go any of us. That's why they call it a natural disaster. Um, Climate change is playing into this. Climate change is causing this, and it's going exactly as the scientists have been telling us it would go. And the powers that be, the climate change deniers, are heavily invested in jumping on the spin to immediately refute any possibility that this is global climate change, because that serves their messaging. So I think, what's funny for me, and I feel like this is important to say, until I went online getting ready to do this podcast, I was not thinking about Los Angeles, which is a privilege because I'm not living there. And I was, here in my place. It's very cold here in Santa Fe this morning. It was 10 degrees a little bit ago, with our beautiful snowfall. And I, got up and I did yoga, and I actually did Wordle. I did go online to do Wordle because my friend Jim Sorensen says that he thinks I would like it. So I tried Wordle for the first time. Took me all time 6 tries to solve it, even though I had the first 3 letters, I think. But then I went through several other words that began with CRA. Oops. Sorry if that spoiled it for you. So, I did that, and I did my yoga and fed the cats and took the dog for a walk. And it was just magically beautiful, very cold, but with the fresh snow on everything and beautiful light. And I said hello to various friends on messaging apps. But it wasn't until I actually went online and saw people talking about the horrible pictures out of Los Angeles and the devastating news that hit. And I think that we need a combination of both, that we need to support each other and be aware of what others are suffering, but at the same time to preserve our own joy. And, it's just really important to have yourself in a calm and strong place so that you can then be there for other people. I've talked a lot about the thing my martial arts teacher used to say, that yoga is all well and good until someone knocks you off your pillow. And I mentioned that to my yoga teacher last Saturday, and she said she had heard that before, or variations of it. And it really is the macho martial arts boy thing to say to to the yoginis, right? It's like, well, but it's all well and good to sit there and breathe and be calm until someone knocks you off your pillow, and then you got to fight. And I mean, how often? I mean, that was the thing is, how often do you end up in a physical altercation? My martial arts teacher was always planning for war. He's like, you never know when someone's going to attack you. And it's like, yeah, but how much of your life do you go through without someone attacking you? But how much of your life do you go through with emotional upsets, with things that, knock you off your metaphorical pillow? That happens a lot more often, right? That's part of human existence, right? Things happen that upset us, big and small, and sometimes the small things hit us hard for no apparent reason. And my yoga teacher was talking about the whole idea of the yogic journey up the mountain, and traveling in this very peaceful way, and what happens when you trip and you fall off the mountain. And I think that having that ability to get back on the path, to get back on the pillow, to stabilize yourself, uh, no matter what else is going on, that's key. And yeah, when something terrible is happening, like some of you I know who listen to this podcast, have had to evacuate your homes in Los Angeles. Uh, Sorry, I have a cat. Get out of the way. Come on. He's just in the middle today. Um, yeah, I mean, it's terrible. What you're going through is horribly traumatic and awful. And all you can do is try to find a way, to get back on the path, to get back on your pillow mentally and emotionally so that you can cope. And it's not easy, but that's the challenge of life. That's what we have to do, right? We have to find that way to handle what life throws at us. The point is not to have life not throw things at us, because we don't get to have that, right? Be nice, but we don't get to have that. So what we do get to have is the ability, or to develop is the ability to handle what comes at us, and to recover from it, and to cope with it with as much grace as possible. Um, I recall, is it Alice Walker? Can't remember who said it, uh, but there's a saying that you learn who someone really is. Maybe I can find it. It's Maya Angelou. I found it. Maya Angelou said, I've learned that you can tell a lot about a person by the way they handle these three things: a rainy day, lost luggage, and tangled Christmas tree lights. It's funny, it's clever, but there's a lot of truth to that, right? That the test of character is not how we handle the good times. It's not the how beautifully we perform our vinyasas uh, under ideal circumstances. It's whether or not we can still perform our vinyasas on a rainy day, under crushing pressure, under circumstances that are really disruptive, lost luggage. How many times have we seen someone in the airport screaming about lost luggage? And it's like, is this really the way to handle the thing? And this comes back around to the big and the small things, right? Um, I have a couple of friends who have been dealing with cancer. And on days when I am cranky because I'm not getting my words to come out the way I want them to, I have to remind myself that I'm in good health. And that's such a cliche, at least you have your health. But as you get older, you really start to appreciate that, because if something happens, if you get sick or injured, it derails everything. When you feel good enough to worry about the less important things, like whether or not you got your word count, that's a good place to be. Um, I enjoy following on Threads the Beyond Meat account. It's very funny. But they posted the other day something saying that just for once that it would be fun to try living in non-interesting times, which was cute. Uh, and a reference to the what we talk about, the Irish curse is may you live in interesting times. And we all look for that. We all look for the peacefulness. You want everything, like the bottom of your pyramid to be in place, like your home to be clean and the dishes done and food in the refrigerator and everybody and your body healthy and everybody in your family happy and doing okay and the bills are paid, and you have to get all these things in place, and peacefulness, not having war, not having fire raining down from the mountains driven by 90-mile-an-hour winds, right? So that you can then be creative, so that you can then be happy. But, life doesn't work that way. And I've gone back to reading. I'd stopped for a while because I kind of got bored. I wasn't loving it, but I picked it up again, which is the book Dorothy Parker in Hollywood by Gail Crowther. And a thing I didn't know about Dorothy Parker was how much of a liberal activist she was, and that she went to Spain. And I'm not great at history, but I didn't realize that Spain fell to the fascists before Nazi Germany completely rose, before Nazi Germany invaded Poland. And she fought for 3 years, campaigned very, very heavily, was over in Spain, did fundraising, did all sorts of activism for 3 years to try to prevent Spain from falling to the fascists, and failed. And apparently, I think 1937, I'm pulling that off the top of my head. You actual historians can correct me. The fascists took over Spain. And then, not long after that, Nazi Germany invaded Poland. And so it's interesting to read that now. It was crushing to her. Her marriage was not going well. She was drinking way too much. She had been making good money in Hollywood, but got kicked off of movies, got replaced by younger writers, possibly because she was drunk a lot of the time. Uh, and so there's a lot of pieces to that, right? And it was fascinating for me to read, like here she's dealing with this thing, 1937. So now we're looking at nearly 100 years ago, right? And we're back in the same place where we've got the fascists are rising again, because the fascists never go away, I guess. And just, they are, it's these men. I'm sorry, guys out there, it's always the men, isn't it? It's the men out there swinging their metaphorical dicks and wanting to take over, to have more power and more money. And I saw that Elon Musk is going to be our planet's first trillionaire. And it's like this massive accumulation of wealth and power, I guess, in an attempt to make themselves happy. I don't know what game they're playing. But I think that there is no such thing as not living in interesting times. I was thinking about this like throughout history, and people talking about recapitulating all this stuff, that happened during the civil rights movement. And, like one thing leads into the next thing. And I saw a study yesterday about is Scandinavia. I can't remember if it was Denmark or Finland, something like that. Oh, I could check. Norway. This is why I should always check. But in Norway, they did this extensive study and found increasing polarization among young people in high school, um, with girls being on the left and boys on the right, and that the boys thought 25% of these high school boys in Norway said that they thought that feminism had gone too far, that gender equality had gone too far. And so we always talk about the pendulum, that people think, oh, it's gone too far, and so they've got to yank it back. And all we can do is I don't know. Trust in it. Go forward. Stay on the pillow. Uh, Keep in mind that lost luggage will be found. Rainy days will clear up and the sun will come out. And you know what? If the Christmas tree lights are just too tangled, you can always buy more or don't put up Christmas lights. On that note, I hope you all have a good weekend. I hope you find some joy, even if you are, or maybe especially if you are having to evacuate and you're in a terrible place. I hope you find things that give you comfort and joy. And know that we are all thinking about you. All right. You all take care. Bye bye.